Hey everyone, welcome to the Parts Girl podcast. I'm super excited to be interviewing Holden Scott. Welcome, Holden.
Thanks, Kaylee. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, and this is your second time being on the
Mhm.
show. You were on a long time ago because I'm approaching episode 100, which is crazy. So,
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I was
yeah,
100. I feel like forever ago. That's how the car business goes. Time flies.
it really does. Because I think I should have looked this up, but you were like, in the 20s. You were not like, you were the very first kind of person I interviewed. So, and that just feels like it was like a year ago, but I think it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot has changed for you. So when I interviewed you, you were the fixed ops director, and now your new role is what is your exact title now?
So now I'm the executive manager at our Nissan store.
Awesome. So what does that mean now? Like you're overseeing everything or
Yeah, we're seeing everything, day-to-day operations of the whole store. Obviously, more variable involved on that side of the house. Still super involved with our fixed op side of the house, but so I get to play in all the sandboxes. But the biggest thing for me is just leading other leaders. That's kind of my passion is leadership. So it gives me an opportunity to meet with all of our leaders pretty much all the time. And some of the vision I had when I was just a fixed ops director, now I'm getting to execute that vision across the whole entire dealership.
wow, that's really exciting because I remember when we talked to you, yeah, you're very much like leadership, passionate about that, and you do a really great job with it. So I'm sure when you're in that fixed ops role, you see so much that you could help with variable, which, is kind of surprising, I think, for a lot. Like you don't normally see a fixed ops person oversee or go over variable. Was that tough for you? Because I can't quite remember where you first started in the auto business. You were on a
So
you
it,
started parts, didn't you?
I
Or
started as a warranty dispatcher and then
okay.
wrote service. Absolutely hated writing service.
Why did you hate writing service?
I hated it, and it's something I still rely on. I hate it because it was I just gotten out of the military, and
Okay.
so in the military, I knew how fast I needed to run to be quote unquote good at my job. Became a service supervisor. I got the infamous 1 day of training. Here's how you write up a car. Go get them, Tiger. I just hated it because I didn't know how to get better. I didn't have any real coaching, so it was just like this. I just sucked, for lack of a better term, and I just didn't know how to get better. So I ended up moving into parts, was in
You're like,
parts.
oh, he sucks at service. Let's move him to parts.
Yeah, yes. Yep. So worked in the cave that is the parts department. I loved it, but then wanted to grow the resume and continue to improve. So I actually was selling cars, and then I was working the desk at the time when our fixed ops director quit. So I back over to that side of the house. So it's actually funny because a lot of the things I learned on the variable side, playing games, the spiffs, all that stuff, I brought
Yeah.
over to the fixed side. So I was doing that with advisors, having a lot of fun. Some of the stuff, you know, I always am posting up on is all the fun we were having. Obviously, super passionate about leadership was, helping the managers there. And so now coming back, or not back so much, but over the whole store, I'm able to execute. So it's almost like I took stuff from variable, brought it to fixed, now bringing things from fixed back over to variable. And then just, like I said, just being able to help inspire some change with how we deal with people, how we coach, train, hire, and just every day lead people.
Yeah. I think that's a big deal in our industry because variable is so divided from, I mean, we talk about service and parts being divided. Sales and fix are even more divided, and it really should be working together. And so I could see how, you're helping change and do all the things that you need to do. What about you guys have a new brand. You helped to launch a new brand. Tell us about that because that's probably been an experience of learning.
Okay. So if you haven't heard of it, you can Google it, but it's called an Ineos Grenadier. Right now, they only have one model. So there's only 20 dealerships in the United States. So we got one of the stores right here in Roswell, Georgia. I'm the fixed ops director for that brand. So overseeing back to my roots, back to the service parts. But it's just been a completely different animal because it wasn't here, 8 months ago, there wasn't a brand and now it is. So launching completely from the ground up helping launch a company. It's been super fun. It's been difficult, but overall it's been fun. There's a lot of passionate enthusiasts about it that have been watching this. I mean, I had one on order before we even had a dealership just because I liked it so much. I'm huge in off-road. So either way it worked out, I was going to still own one because I thought they were so cool. So it's been, you do take things for granted though. I will say there's things that I just like, oh, this is just normal car company stuff. And then you realize like, oh no, this is, I mean, you start talking about building a DMS from the ground up, just all kinds of little things, but then has been super eye opening and sometimes stuff we take for granted. So it's been fun.
Absolutely. I think too, right? Because the manufacturer, they have to have the DCS system, or they all call it a DCS, so that like, I'm sure you probably had to help build some sort of, so that everything can talk together. Think?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, how do you communicate, you know, what should the vision look like? What should the brand look like? I mean, just all kinds of things. And then, processing warranty was a struggle at first, how we were doing things, not having the right op codes, not having just all kinds of things. But I mean, being smaller, they're able to move quick, adjust.
Yeah.
And so it's been awesome being able to work with them. We actually have a couple of representatives coming in the near future from Great Britain because that's where the company's based to get some feedback. So it's a company they're starting and they realize that they know there's going to be growing pains, but they've been quick to adjust fire and be able to help us execute their vision and our vision.
Yeah. And I think that just having the experience with other brands, you can kind of tie that into their like, well, this is where this brand lacks, this is where we could do better. It's probably nice to have more of that flexibility to really help implement, because when things are small, you can move a lot faster. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're almost able to cherry pick what works good and maybe what doesn't work good, what we should avoid.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah. And then how has it been with like finding people to work like in service and technicians? Like, yeah, how has that been? Because they're in like, it's probably different. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have some people that are dual role for the time being, but right now it's all located on our current property, but we're going to eventually move. So when that happens, we're going to have some people that are standalone. So I was able to take one of my technicians and he was passionate about it. It was a cool opportunity. It actually benefits me because I actually was running out of apprentice spots and technician spots for my express department. So we just didn't have anywhere for people to go because we so many techs that have been here for a long time. I mean, people want to work here, which is a great problem to have. But if you're trying to grow that next generation, you kind of run out of space. So I was actually able to move two of my express people over. So now they're able to continue to advance their career with a different brand, but they're able to continue to take those next steps, which has been cool. For salespeople, it's been really different because we've kind of taken a completely different approach where we've kind of gone outside the box and we haven't really hired any salespeople to be salespeople for us on this side of the house. We've gone for people in other industries and things like that. So
Interesting.
it's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's been about 8 months, so I'm excited to touch or follow up in another 8 months and see how things are going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we'll have to pull up a picture of one of the vehicles, because I remember when you told me about it, I looked it up and it's pretty cool. Because you know me, I like off-roading too, so anything. And then have you seen there's like what is Toyota came out with their is it the Land Cruiser? Did they come update that or something?
They updated the 4Runner.
They updated the 4Runner, and then they updated I want to say it was is the Land Cruiser Lexus? Gosh.
Land Cruiser Toyota. You're right.
Okay.
Lexus has the GX 440 or 450 that just came out too.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
All kinds of off-road vehicles coming out. Yeah.
There's so many off-road vehicles coming out. I think that, yeah, it's pretty cool because I think everyone's just like more, I don't know, since COVID, I feel like we're more like adventurous and we want to go outdoors more. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we did that before COVID, but
yeah.
I don't know what it is about the market and now all these off-road vehicles. Do you have any ideas?
I mean, I think people have always wanted them. And
yeah.
I think we got away from it. You saw a lot of manufacturers get away from it. Nissan got away from it with the Xterra. They got rid of the Mitt. Toyota getting rid of the FJ Cruiser.
Mhm.
But I think there's a demand for it because, like you said, people still want to get out. They want a vehicle that they know they can get out and do stuff. I mean, because me, it's not just off-roading. My vehicle's my base camp for all kinds of other adventures I do. I love to run, hike, and do all those things. So I need
Yeah,
a vehicle that can get me to some of these trailheads. So it's not
sure.
just, hey, taking it through mud holes and climbing rocks and everything. It's also, hey, I want to take my kids out hiking. I want to take camping. I always have a bag in my truck with running shoes ready to hit a trail and go running. So I think people, it's kind of like, I mean, I always consider my vehicle just my extension of it's kind of my base camp for life in a way.
That's true. Yeah. And I think with you, if a lot of people don't know you or follow you, you run like crazy stuff. It's not just like you casually run, like you do some crazy, I don't even, they're not marathon. They're like, what are they called? I don't even
So
know. You do like crazy runs for miles and miles.
yeah, they call them ultra marathons because they're beyond
Ultra
marathon.
marathon. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
Marathon's
even
not good
look.
enough. We got to go further.
Yeah. And then don't you do other things too, like in those where you like swim and like there's
I ha-
different.
there are some people that do. I haven't got into that side of it yet.
Okay.
I do just a lot of
Just
running.
running.
Mhm.
Okay. What's the
Yeah.
furthest you ran?
The furthest I've ran so far is I did 82 miles last November around a
Wow.
400-meter track.
Wow. And how long did that take you?
Like 18 hours. Yeah.
That's crazy. Crazy stuff. So yeah, you post a lot about your running and that's, I think you have like you just have like this drive that and you read a lot. So anything that you could give anyone that's listening, like any advice? Because I think getting into running or getting into those like anything like that is like very scary or overwhelming. But I think you
Mhm.
just gotta have to start, right? Like you're not always like when you started running, you probably didn't do that to start with. Like I think you
No.
probably ran a couple miles.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was a big gym rat, and then COVID closed down all the gyms. And funny enough, someone gave me a book. I think it was one of David Goggins' book where he was talking about ultra marathons, and I was like, that sounds cool. And so I just went all in on it. I always had wanted to go to Zion National Park, and I found there was an ultra marathon in Zion National Park about a year down the road from when I was reading this book. And I was like, I'm going to train for this. And it was a 100-kilometer race, so about 62 miles. I was like,
Okay.
I'm going to do this. I always wanted to go. I was like, this sounds cool. So I like challenging myself. So I just said, I'm going to do it. And I literally just spent a year training.
Wow.
Was not prepared at all. I thought I was prepared. I wasn't prepared at all. It was the most miserable I've ever probably been in my life doing a race.
Yeah.
But I finished it, and so, like, even though it was my probably worst performance, I've gotten even better since then, it's still, like, that's what kinda kicked it off for me. It's funny because as I'm one of those big believers that if you just focus in on one area and start trying to improve your life, it bleeds over to other areas. I mean, just forming a habit, no matter what it is, becoming more healthy, reading more books, you can take the same blueprint and you can start applying it to other areas of your life. So I've found it's not, you don't have to follow my path, but I found that as I've, increased and become a better runner, more disciplined, I've read more. I've, as I've read more, I've become a better person. As I've become a better person, I've become a better leader. And now it's to the point where now I'm inspiring other people to do that as well. So I got friends that now we're running. I got a friend that just last weekend completed the first half marathon. One of the things I'm super passionate about, obviously, is reading on it as well. All my leaders we're actually reading a book together. So every month we meet on each chapter of the book. We're reading Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. But that's something I've done. So now you got people that maybe didn't read. They started reading because I made them. And now maybe they're picking up other books. So it's just once you start down that path of self-improvement, you start finding other areas you can improve. And as you do that, people notice the change and then people get passionate about the change. I mean, if you follow me, I make the videos after I run where just a thought, something that I thought of on the run or something that I thought the day before. I've never done that because I want to grow some network or anything. I just always find this philosophy that I've found super beneficial. And it's awesome when you get a message or, even my employees here where they're like, hey, I had one last week where the guy was like, hey, I saw you. Just wanted you to know I needed that. Like, I appreciate that. That spoke to me. So those are the reasons why I do it. Those are the reasons why I share. If I can read a whole book for you and share one quote and it changes someone's life, helps them improve as a person, to me, it's worth it. That's
Yes.
one thing I always tell people. Like, I don't come up with anything original or creative. I just read a lot and steal everyone else's ideas.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily stealing their ideas. You're portraying, or you're delivering what you got from that experience or reading that. So I think that's the whole point of reading and all of that. You retain it all, or you take what you can get, and then you share what you learned, and then that inspires other people. So I think that, and I think it's really cool that you're inspiring other people to start running, because you don't have to do an ultra marathon to start.
Yeah, no,
Um,
you know, I wouldn't recommend starting off with it either. So
so yeah, and I actually had a question going back to that, because you said it was like the worst experience because you thought you were prepared. I guess my question is, what about it that you like, what weren't you prepared for? Or like, what was so bad about it? I know you finished it, but like,
yeah,
walk us through that.
um, I think the best way to put it is it really came down to mental. Even though I'd consider myself at the time, I would have considered myself a pretty mentally strong person. You know, I've been through Marine Corps boot camp, been through all kinds of things. But
Yeah.
one thing I've learned as I've done more of these races is each time I push the distance further, my body's more comfortable up until certain distances. So I
Mhm.
think it's having never been there before. You, there's a lot of the thing I love the most about it is there's a lot of problem solving that goes into it while you're doing a race of that distance. You got to start thinking, you know, you can finish a half marathon with pretty much just a marathon. You need to have some calories in you. But when you start going past those distances, you it almost becomes an eating competition. You have to continue eating, and your body burns more calories than you can intake and digest. So you have to be forcing yourself to eat. You have to think, okay, I got a rock in my shoe. Is this something that's going to cause a blister? You be thinking about, you know, you run 60 miles, all kinds of stuff starts chafing. So there's just all kinds of little problem solving you got to do. Do I expend energy running up this hill, or do I speed hike? The temperature changes from morning being cool in the desert. You had a windbreaker to the afternoon. It was completely hot. Timing your water, conserving your water, how much water to carry. So it's just all kinds of things that I wasn't prepared for. I got myself in some tight situations where, you know, I was just miserable. I didn't want to eat anything. I felt like I was going to puke. So I
Mhm.
skipped an aid station where I didn't eat anything. And that came back to bite me because then I realized my body started cramping up and things like that. And that's when you just had to completely gut it out. So it's things like that. And that's one thing I've applied elsewhere is, you know, you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable in times. But then now, as I've pushed past those distances, I've done more and more races. I'm comfortable. This race I did where I did 80 miles, I was comfortable, very comfortable up until about 50 miles because my brain knew my body could do it because I've done it before. Once I started passing the 60 miles, which is the furthest I've ever been, that's when it started getting real hard. Had to push through some things to get to the 80 miles. So now my next goal is to do 100 miles. And I'm pretty confident I'll be good up until 70-mile mark because I've been there before. So it's funny because your brain a lot of times doesn't differentiate the stress between that kind of stress and work stress and things like that. So if you can put yourself in tough situations and build that mental muscle, helps me at work. You know, sometimes I catch myself being like, "This is a problem at work. This is a big thing," and you're like, "Okay." But I've been in tough situations before. I always fall back on some of my Marine Corps training, things like that. So to me, the biggest thing is just mental fortitude, and you can build that in lots of different ways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hearing you talk about all of that, you can definitely apply that to business, and that's where we get scared, because when we do the same things, or we get to a certain point where we're like, okay, this is good, but then I haven't been there before, so how do I achieve that? Or we get scared, and we gotta push ourselves to do it so that we can. 'Cause you're like, I did the 50, and then I did the 60, and you're like, mind knows you can do it because you've done it before. But then when you haven't done it before, you're like fighting with your mind, like, I can do this, even though I haven't done it.
Yeah, because your mind's always
Yeah.
trying to your mind's essentially trying to keep you alive. And so it's like, "Hey, why are we running this far? There's nothing chasing us. We're
Yeah.
expending a lot of energy. We shouldn't be doing this." So it's trying to get you to shut down and stop.
That's
You gotta push past that. And so, yeah,
yeah.
that's it's crazy because people think I'm crazy when I say it. But now that I've got other buddies that are running who, you know, started here. And then, I've had one buddy ran with me. We did 20 something miles a couple of weeks ago. And he was like, you're right. I was good up until the furthest distance I had done, which was 13 miles. He's like, then I had to gut it out the last 7. I was like, exactly. Well, now next time when we run a marathon, you're going to be good up until 20 because now your brain knows, hey, I can do this. I've been before. We're always scared of the unknown. Whether you
Yeah.
realize it or not, your brain's always in the back of your mind trying to, hey, play it safe. Let's keep everything under control. So
Yeah, why are you
I think
putting
that's,
yourself through this?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the same thing for business. It's
Yeah.
scary when you start a new project or, that top tier salesperson leaves and now you're left with something. It happened to me one of my first couple months, one of our top advisors, when I first took over the service department. He was a prima donna, but he was really good. He didn't like some of the changes I was implementing that, in my opinion, were great. And so he put in his notice, and everyone was real scared and nervous. And, we never looked back. But so many times we get scared of that because we've never been here before. So if you can find ways to be mentally strong in other areas, it bleeds over to all areas of life. That's one thing I've learned is it all bleeds over to other areas that you improve one area of your life.
It really does. Yeah. I think that I just posted about this because it's like we're always going through something. There's always a change. There's always something going on, whether it be business work, that's the same thing, business, life, or at the same time. And it's like, it's uncomfortable to constantly be going through those things, but it's just, that's the way it is. You got to
Mm.
work through it. We're always going to get through it. It's just battling your mind of like,
Mhm.
"Man, we were so comfortable a couple months ago. Like everything was smooth." And then you have to go through all those changes. But it's always,
Exactly.
yeah. So if you had to share anything like that stands out right now, like any quotes or anything, because I know you share a lot of like really cool stuff. Is there anything that you recently read that you want to just share that maybe can inspire someone? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, so it's okay if you don't have
No,
one.
um, one thing that's really been resonating with me lately, because I have a lot of changes going on here at our store. We've made a lot of changes, brought in some new things. It's an old quote that I've always loved from Marcus Aurelius. If you've heard me talk, I talk about him all the time. But it's the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And kind of how I take that is, hey, whatever's in your way right now is something that's been put there to make you a better person, to figure out and improve. There's an old story that goes with it that I heard one time when a guy was talking about what exactly it meant and what exactly was good. Is a king one time was tired of his people; they'd become a little lazy and a little entitled, and so in front of the city gate, he put a giant rock and stood by nearby the bushes and watched this person as a person mad, cursed the king for not moving the rock, walked around it, everything else. And one day a peasant came by and he tried his hardest to push the rock and move the rock and everything else, and he couldn't. So then he quickly winged a branch and was able to use leverage to move the rock. And under the rock was a purse of gold. It ended up changing the guy's life. And the king jumped out and saw him and recognized him for this guy who did what he had to do to move this obstacle and how it's going to lead him to a better life. And I think so many times when those obstacles come up, we want to complain about them. We want to figure out ways to get around them. If we actually work and use them, I've found a lot of times in my personal and professional career, sometimes the obstacles are what have made me stronger, what have made me come up with better ideas, improvements. And sometimes they've even forced me to act when I didn't want to act. An
Yeah.
obstacle comes up and it forced me into action. So
Mhm.
sometimes what stands in the way becomes the way to something better if we allow it. If we have the right perception, that's the biggest thing. You can have the right mindset with it. So if every time an obstacle comes up, uh, I've ridden it on my arm during races. Obstacle is the way. And so sometimes that obstacle of wanting to quit is the way not to quit to overall improve me and make me better. Like I said, a lot of times in my business life, sometimes the obstacle is forced me to do an action that I didn't want to do, I knew I should do, or maybe hadn't done. And looking back on it now, sometimes you're like, I wish I would have done it sooner before I got to the obstacle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, trust me. I feel like the beginning of this year, I mean, there's always obstacles, but I definitely, that resonates with me a lot because, I thought I had a lot of things figured out and then all these things came up and wait, it challenged me to like deeper. And now I feel like I'm selling better or I'm presenting what we do better when, if you talked to me 6 months ago, I was like, oh yeah, I got to figure it out. I know my elevator pitch. But then I was like, shit, what is my elevator? So like it just all these obstacles and all these changes, and not to mention just like having another baby that totally
Oh yeah,
that's not
I'm sure.
that's not an obstacle. Just it's just one of those things. It's a good thing. It's a
Okay,
good
I'm sure.
obstacle.
Yes, exactly. Best kind.
Yeah. And I know you guys did that too. You guys adopted twins, right? They're bigger now though, aren't they? They've
Yeah,
got to be like
there'll be 2 in August.
oh, two. Okay, gosh. Okay, it
Yeah.
hasn't been that long.
No.
Oh, that's so fun. Two's a fun age, I think. I think all the ages are fun, but two's like when they're really like, they're just so small still and they're walking around and they want to do what they want to do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then you multiply it times 2. Like our daughter's 6, so we kind of knew what we were getting into, but you don't know what you're getting into when it comes to twins because you think they go to the same direction. They do all the same things. No, they're completely different opposites. One goes left, one goes right.
You're like, which one do I chase?
Wouldn't have it any other way, but it's definitely like when people are like, oh yeah, we get what you mean. We have kids that are real close together. I'm like, no, it's not, it's close, but it's not the same. Like 2 of everything. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I have a friend that had twins and I was like, I don't think I could ever do that. Cause just even going through one like small, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
Like, so congrats to you guys on making it through that little baby stage and now the rest of it.
Oh yeah.
And luckily you have the 6-year-old to kind of help and be like a mom and, cause I know that's how my daughter is with her brother. She's like, I want to hold him. And yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes she thinks she's too much in charge of that. So sometimes you got to reel that in too.
Oh, I know. Oh gosh. Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one that's going through that. She's like telling me what to do with him. Like, Mom, he's spitting up, take care of it. And I'm like, come on, I skipped a break.
Yeah.
They're funny. Well, Holden, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think a lot of people, value, appreciate what you have to share. And, it's very inspiring what you're doing and, just keep doing what you're doing. So thank you.
I really appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate this podcast. I mean, I've had quite a few, I've listened to it. I listen to it as much as I can. And I've gotten good lessons from all kinds of people I probably would have never connected with. So
yeah, that's what I love about the podcast. It's like just connecting everyone. And I know it's called the Parts Girl podcast, but we talk about more than just parts. So, and I think that's what I like about it is like, we're just the whole thing. We're talking about life, work, and sometimes parts. So thank you again.
Thanks, Kaylee.
Thank you for joining us. PartsEdge, the power tool for your parts department. We hope you're leaving feeling motivated, challenged, and inspired.